Good morning, everyone. This is Lady Court from Lady Court Tales. I saw the video yesterday about the Vermillion Parish Teacher in Louisiana being arrested at a school board meeting. I watched it carefully. She was not at fault, period. I'm a former teacher in Louisiana. I have my master's, and I don't work in the system anymore. And it's for very good reasons. And I'm going to give you a story of just one reason, of what really goes on behind the scenes in some of these schools. 17 years ago, approximately, I was working at a junior high school where they had 7th, 8th, and ninth graders. At that time, I was teaching ninth grade. Now, there was a librarian who was a friend of mine who was not as assertive in her nature, easily intimidated, but very kind and very good at her job. She had gone to a major city and saw one of her former students. She had been at the school longer than I had. This student was grown and in a bar at the time. The student confided to the librarian that his first sexual experience was with a coach at the school we taught at. And this is a male student with a male coach. Not that any other way is any better. I'm just trying to make the story clear. And she told me this. Well, as a mandated court reporter, I felt an obligation to report it. She wouldn't do it, but I made her go in there with me to speak with the principal, the counselor, and an assistant to the principal. I was quite upset reporting this because, honestly, I didn't know if there was any truth in it, and I did not want this man's career to be destroyed. Also, he was the love of the administration and very much admired, flirted with, etc. So I knew I was behind the 8 ball on this one. After I reported it, I went to the assistant DA's office. Why? First and foremost, to try and protect myself, because as a whistleblower, there were going to be possible repercussions. And he took the information in confidence and never let anybody know it was me. This is a fairly small town. Then he told me to go see a lawyer who he suggested and called and do an hour free consultation in case anything were to come of it, meaning, repercussions for myself for reporting it. Truth or no truth behind the possible incident or whatever. Also, I reported it because if he did do that to a student years ago, they don't stop. Pedophiles don't stop. There is no cure. So possibly he could still be doing it today if he were, at the time today, 17 years ago. And I Just couldn't carry that with me. I'm sorry, I have a moral compass and I have to lay my head down on a pillow at night, so I turned it over to the authorities that had some sort of power to do anything. This was the first week of April. I remember specifically, it was somewhere between, I think it was the 4th. I'm not sure. I might be wrong. But I know it was the first week of April. In August, after school started, I was called back in to the assistant DA's office as a courtesy to let me know that he had been arrested. There were 3 boys, I think ninth grade, but he wouldn't tell me what grade they're in, and I respect that. It's none of my business who these children are for their privacy and protection. And I was devastated that it was true. He also told me that the principal, the counselor, the assistants came into his office after the arrest and had the nerve to act shocked. He knew that I had told them in April, and he said nothing to protect me. I know that he was sentenced. I believe he got time served. I believe the additional time was 9 months in jail that he had to do. It was stomach turning. I'm glad he was caught, but an additional 9 months, seriously? It takes more than 9 months to carry these children. And these were 3 young boys. There was no justice in that. The only justice was he wasn't teaching anymore and having that kind of access to children. There was a teacher that was a friend of mine who didn't believe anything of it. I never told her it was me that reported it, and I didn't become, let's just say I left that friendship. It's amazing what people are so blind to see and accept. Because he was so beloved, it's not like I wasn't given a hard time. They didn't like it. I ended up transferring to the high school level when the 9th graders went to high school. Thank goodness, at the time. So I didn't have to be under that administration anymore, but they can cause problems anywhere. They just talk amongst each other. And the most horrible part of all, the principal at the school where the incident happened that I told, she became superintendent of the school board, in charge of all the children in that parish. Another incident where I'm a great teacher and I love my students and I worked my ass off, but eventually over the years the stress got to me because of the lack of support. A lot of people in charge don't really care about the children. They care about themselves. And everything that they do for the children is ultimately for themselves, so they get credit. It's sickening. We have great teachers out of the school system because they just can't take it anymore and remain sane. I taught for the children. I was in it for the children. And I cannot be surrounded by such corruption and evil and be thwarted at every turn they possibly can and stay functioning as a human being. That was just one incident. So when I saw the Vermillion Parish Teacher being hauled out and handcuffed for speaking in turn and being recognized at a school board meeting, and no one standing up to defend her, I was furious. It just confirms what goes on. Where are the people who stand up for what is right? Where are they? They're like lone soldiers, and they get their legs cut out from underneath them all the time. It's disgusting. Who is protecting our children? Who is actually watching out for their best interest? I know there are great people in this school system. I worked with them. But when it comes right down to it, are they going to stand up? Are they going to put their neck out on the chopping block? Are they going to question authority? This is about children and the people who teach them, the good people, who give up things for themselves to make sure that those children have what they need, sometimes neglecting their own family because of the time and effort it takes. And what do those people get? Nothing. Only if you follow everything the way they want it done to a T. You need to be a yes man or a yes woman with no morals, no values, and just follow the rules as they see them to be. Shame on Louisiana. Shame on our school system. And God help the children.